We talk about misinformation like it's always dramatic. Fake news, conspiracy theories, deep fakes. But some of the most damaging forms aren't loud at all. They're quiet, cultural, normalised. The kinds you grow up around without ever noticing.
This film isn't about the misinformation that's trying to persuade you. It's about the misinformation that quietly shapes your place in this world.
A report carried out this year by Young Scot in the Scottish Youth Parliament found that over 75% of young people say politics affects their lives, but only 40% feel they can make any difference in political decisions. They also found that 82% of young people agree it's important to be involved, but over 52% say they don't know how. Both these numbers make something painfully clear. Young people aren't disengaged because they're apathetic. They're disengaged because they feel unwelcome, unheard, or convinced that politics isn't for people like them. I asked John Loughton, CEO of Young Scot, if this also rings true for young people living in poverty.
The first thing to recognise is poverty is real and a big problem in Scotland right now. We see the huge issues with that kind of quarter, a fifth of young people still live in poverty every day in Scotland, and that's a real problem. So two things happen. One, being poor, we know that massively affects the way you're listened to in society, but also your ability to have the self-agency and the belief in yourself and those around you to go out and make a difference. The other challenge is being a young person in itself. We know that we still live in adult-centric structures in Scotland. So what Young Scot aims to do is give the space for young people to raise their voices, but in particular young people who are grown up poor or in deprivation or struggling somehow with these active barriers.
I understand the feeling. Growing up in poverty, I never felt like I had the right accent or came from the right background. That didn't just turn me off from politics, it turned me off for everything. And when you internalise that shame, it's hard to break out of it.
So where did the stigma come from? Well, for me, a lot of it came from the media I was exposed to during my formative years. Shows like Benefit Street or Can't Pay Will Take It Away. They turned real hardship into entertainment, framing poverty as personal failure, not structural reality. Headlines also decried about benefit frauds and welfare scroungers, a vision of poverty which didn't represent my reality. It's a very subtle kind of misinformation, but misinformation all the same. One that quietly reinforced that I and others like me deserve scrutiny, not dignity.
What's clear to me, from my experience anyway, is that these misinformed caricatures don't just shape public attitudes towards people like me, but they shape how people like me see themselves as well. This kept me from engaging with politics, because whenever I see people like me discussed, it's always with disdain. So that should highlight what this is not just a social issue, it's a democratic one, because it is quietly saying who is entitled to participate at all.
This isn't about parties, it's about participation, dignity, and who feels welcome in the democratic process. Misinformation can confuse people about how to vote, but the stigma created by normalised misinformation can stop people from voting altogether.
If shame can be manufactured, then confidence can be rebuilt. Instead of telling stories that push young people away from politics, we should be starting to tell stories that pull them in.